In every settlement across the lands of the continent, there is a place where public notices can be posted. In a timid fishing village, it might be a few wooden boards clumsily nailed together, while a great trading city might boast 100 such sites, anxiously curated by the local elite. The messages left at these places are those of every sort, but from the smallest hamlet to the greatest capital, there is a single constant: notices begging for the safe return of missing men, women, and children. The continent is not kind, even to those who have worked without pause to temper it. Beasts of every sort wait within the oldest forests, restless spirits prowl abandoned fields, and fouler things might still remain within the forgotten reaches of the world, ready to snatch the unwary and unguarded. Every day, men, women, and children go missing, and more notices are posted. But the most dangerous creatures might be those who read such messages with aberrant yellow eyes, those who journey to the places where most would fear to tread. They are said to roam the land, importunate and insolent, nominating themselves the stalkers of evil, vanquishers of werewolves, and exterminators of specters. Rogues without virtue, conscience, or scruple, diabolic creations, fit only for killing, with no place amidst honest men. It is not the honest but the desperate that they seek, however, those willing to pay for the services of a witcher. Legend tells that witchers are the product of the blackest hells, for surely only a devil could derive pleasure from suffering and pain. But their true origins lie in the wild and untamed lands of what would come to be known as Temeria. Here, men were preyed upon like cattle by the monsters that roamed the hills and valleys. The first settlers lived in constant fear and, desperate to protect their lives and lands, turned to a caste of warrior monks. Young men turned their souls and bodies over to these monks, becoming their apprentices. These first acolytes were exposed to mutagenic mushrooms, herbs, and flowers, brewed and combined across different concoctions, and experimented upon with dangerous alchemical elixirs. Those that survived the painful and dangerous process developed unnatural speed and endurance. With the help of sorcerers, they mastered combat spells known as signs, and together with magic potions, augmented their already formidable fighting skills. They adopted twin swords, one of silver and one of steel, as their weapons, and through the use of these weapons became well known. Despite their great success in taming the wilds of monsters and predators, the mages were disappointed in their acolytes, deeming them charlatans capable of nothing more than mere witchery. Feared for their abilities and mutations, these so-called witchers were pushed out of normal society, but found constant work hunting monsters in exchange for coin. The witchers created several different schools, isolated throughout the land, where they could train apprentices in relative peace. This training was grueling and often cruel, focusing on swordplay, chemical and biological studies, and rudimentary magic. Once an apprentice was deemed ready, they partook in the Trial of the Grasses, a dangerous and painful ceremony in which they consumed a special potion that altered their physiology to grant them the powers of a witcher, provided they survived. This practice has never ended, and even now these powers come with a duty, a sort of code of conduct that harkens back to their earliest days. Honor, compassion, and wisdom are the core traits of this code, but each witcher is free to interpret these guidelines to suit their needs. Some might use this code to justify refusing a particularly unsavory contract that would undermine their status as neutral protectors of the common man. Others might be more amenable to even the foulest request, provided the coin was of sufficient quantity. Generally, however, a witcher will treat authority with respect, though he is not required to follow commands, adhere to local traditions, and will not accept coin for human life. In every case, he should attempt to protect and guard the innocent whenever possible, though not for free. For those unable or unwilling to pay for services rendered, a witcher has several options available to him, but none so ancient as the law of surprise. This custom, as old as humanity itself, states that someone who is saved must offer their savior a boon whose nature is unknown to both parties. This can take two slightly different forms. A witcher might demand of those indebted to them the first thing that comes home to greet you, often a pet or a loved one, or what you find at home you don't expect. The latter is often used to seize an unexpected child, taken by the witcher to serve as a new recruit. Should those taken by a witcher survive the trial of the grasses and find purpose in the witcher's code, they set out on the path, traveling the continent seeking contracts and hunting dangerous monsters. Each witcher's path is different and can last for as long as they decide. Most witchers will travel back to their home keep during the cold season, then return to the path with the thaw, while others will not leave the wilds until their path is done. When the world still teemed with monsters and a witcher's skills were in high demand, there was an attempt by ancient kings and mages to create a unified order of witchers built on higher knightly values. Such standards were far too unyielding, however, and slowly abandoned. Today, the order exists only in name, supplanted by numerous schools of witchers instead. Each school specializes in different combat and educational styles, and are named for and modeled after various animals. These include the School of the Wolf, the Cat, the Bear, the Viper, the Gryphon, and the Manticore. Still headquartered in the Valley Fortress of Kaer Morhen, the School of the Wolf is perhaps the oldest and most well-respected school on the continent. Students from this school train extensively with the sword, perfecting a fighting style they learned from their namesake, circling their opponent, feinting, and closing quickly with precise and deadly attacks. This, combined with the deadly final test known as the Gauntlet, makes them formidable warriors, but it is their tireless study of biology and behavior of the monsters they hunt that gives them a superior edge over their prey. This proficiency and competence has led to their reputation as the most professional of all the witchers, and those of the Wolf School are given a degree of respect unusual for their kind in most cities and courts. To the common man, however, they are still viewed as dangerous abominations. Today, the stronghold of Kaer Morhen is a shadow of its former self, left in ruin by a mob of peasants provoked into action by mages and priests. Nearly all within its walls were killed, and even centuries later, only a handful of trained and fully grown witchers are left to carry on its legacy. The School of the Cat is largely considered a failure by the other schools, as their quick and agile members frequently violate the Witcher's code. An accidental modification to the potion used in the trial of the grasses results in heightened emotional states rather than suppressed ones, and the cats can become volatile and opportunistic. They do not distance themselves from politics, but participate in the games of the royal houses, frequently taking contracts as spies and assassins to gain political favor. After one of these political games resulted in a massacre lasting 3 days and the destruction of their own keep, the Stygia Citadel, it is said the School of the Cat began traveling in the Din Marv caravan, moving across the continent, fulfilling contracts and finding new recruits, including women. This nomadic lifestyle is very similar to that of the elves, and it is said that much of the teachings of the School of the Cat is based on elven culture. The School of the Viper most closely resembles their namesake. These witchers have been known to accept political contracts, but are most famous for their fighting style. Rather than the 2 swords famously carried by most witchers, Vipers wield 2 daggers, often dipped in poison and used to attack in short, lightning-fast bursts. Their library in Garthur-Gavaid, nestled in the Tir Chicher Mountains, holds the largest collection of texts about the wild hunt, Spectral Riders from another world. Despite this knowledge of the larger dangers of the world, they could still be manipulated by powerful people, including the Emperor of Nilfgaard, Emir var Emrys. He convinced a Viper to assassinate his opponents, Foltest, King of Temeria, and Demavend, King of Aedern, with the promise of elevating the Viper School to glory throughout the continent. In direct contrast to its peers is the School of the Bear, focused less on speed and precision in favor of raw power and strength. They are largely solitary, choosing to travel and fight alone, relying on their heavy armor, crossbows, and physical prowess to excel in combat. Their notorious failure to destroy a cabal of vampires ended with the local villages turning against them. rioting and destroying their home keep of Hairn Kaduk in the Amel Mountains. Few bear witchers remain, though some can still be found roaming the Isles of Skellige, or, according to the rumors, maintaining their friendship with the dwarves and gnomes of the Amel Mountains. Only the barest knowledge concerning the school of the Gryphon has survived. Gryphon witchers were said to adhere more closely to the oldest knightly virtues from the beginning of their history and specialize in sign magic. Rumors say they maintained an extensive library at Caer Seren in Kovir, including several rare and ancient texts, which were coveted by powerful mages. These mages accused the Gryphons of hoarding knowledge, storming and destroying Caer Seren, and much of this treasure was lost. While little is known of the School of the Gryphon, even less can be said of the Manticore School. It is posited to reside far in the east near Harkan and Zerrikania, and focuses on balms, potions, and alchemy. Regardless of which school a witcher hails from, each witcher is their own person, capable of the same heroism or avarice that plagues the rest of mankind. They walk a fine line across the continent, on the edge of human civilization and the creatures of the wilderness that lie beyond. Some are hailed as heroes one day, and cursed as assassins the next. They are witness to the most horrific creatures and darkest souls. It is commonly said of the two swords witchers carry that one is meant for monsters, and the other for men. A witcher will tell you that they are both for monsters. The Templin Institute investigates the factions, nations, and organizations of alternate worlds. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to join the Templin Institute, consider pledging to our Patreon page. Along with increased security access, you'll be able to vote in polls to determine future topics, get custom wallpaper every week, and receive some other exclusive rewards.